Here. Hey, I want to do a real quick video on Keenan Allen and really just discuss his injury, discuss coaching staff, where they sit, why they're sitting him so much, and really the way we're managing players through these injuries, right? It's not just Keenan Allen, but it's an interesting discussion of where we sit right now, a game before we go into the bye and kind of where we sit as a team moving forward. So I'm excited to talk about this one. So guys, let's get into it. All right, guys. Again, definitely like and subscribe. It definitely helps the YouTube algorithm. That's a big part of doing these videos. It does help and allow more people to see the content that we're putting together. Again, it does take time for us to do these videos, so definitely smash that like button and share it out to other folks. So, guys, going through the schedule is kind of interesting. Obviously, we know we're 4-2 going into the Seahawks game. And this is a very winnable game. They're 3-3, right? Geno Smith was, by The Athletic, he was ranked the lowest ranked quarterback in the league at the end of last season, right? So, or going into the season, rather. So it's really interesting to me that he's doing so well. Having said that, they have a very good defense. They're doing really well. I know we're +2 in the turnover margin. They're right around the same. So it's an interesting conversation. Again, I want to talk about the schedule because it's really dovetails into what the discussion is with Keenan Allen. So it's very clear to me that we are specifically saving players for the playoffs, right? If you even think about Sony Michel coming on board, right, and using Sony Michel quite a bit at the beginning of the season and really sitting Isaiah Spiller, right? Spiller's now in practice squad, and you're keeping a lot of these players available for the end of the season. It's tough. Clearly, our coaching staff does not want to have happen what happened last season. I know Brandon Staley specifically talked about how we ended poorly last season. Last 4 games of the season, we were 1-3. That's what caused us not to go to the playoffs. It's something to really think about. Now, again, I also think it's a little bit pretentious of ourselves to keep thinking that we're just assuming we're going to make the playoffs. Again, it's the mindset that our coaching staff has really created with our team. And yes, we are. I'll say this: it'd be a huge disappointment if we did not make the playoffs. Now, also having said that, clearly they're taking their time to bring Keenan Allen back, but there's some other folks that are already out. Palmer's going to be out, concussion. Parham is going to be out, concussion. I don't expect those two to play, right? Well, who are you going to be using third down? Well, Mike Williams is one guy, right? You're going to be leaning a lot on Austin Eckler. What they shut down the run? Well, you got Mike Williams. You double team Mike Williams. Who else are you going to throw the ball to? Guys, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot of Gerald Everett. It's going to be a lot of maybe Mike Bandy. Who knows, right? So it's really something to think about. So let's go through the schedule real quick, and then we'll go into Keenan Allen a little more. I know I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit here, but what I'm getting at is that when you look at the second half of our schedule, clearly the reason why we're sitting players is the second half of the schedule is going to be much more difficult. So let's just go through it real quick, right? Seattle Seahawks, Falcons. I like the fact that we're playing the Falcons right after the bye. So I always feel like the bye, we never really play great after a bye week. We're not, game ready. We haven't played for a little while. And so, our mind isn't quite into it. So this would be great also because it would give, Justin Herbert another week off to potentially rest his ribs. Rib cartilage. Obviously, Keenan Allen will be back, and we should be pretty close to full strength. Falcons are a very beatable team, right? So again, let's say we beat the Seahawks. We're 5-2. We could end up 6-2 after week 9, which would be absolutely incredible, right? And yes, we have one ugly, right? But at the end of the day, there's still wins. That's all that matters. Now, moving forward, it gets much more difficult, right? So again, this goes to my narrative of where our coaching staff is sitting players, right? Niners, tough. They just got Christian McCaffrey. Kansas City Chiefs, we know they're tough, right? Again, we're tied with the Chiefs in our record right now currently. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with us versus the Chiefs. I did predict this as a win. I did predict this as a loss. Cardinals as a win. They're a tough team. Again, they had a great breakout game Thursday night. Raiders, hey, we hate the Raiders. We know that. Dolphins, I put this down as a win. I put this down as a win as well, too. These are going to be tough games, right? I mean, they're hard games. Tennessee Titans can be a tough game. Colts can be a tough game. Rams going to be an extremely tough game. Broncos. So what's the narrative, guys? It's clear that we are now having a discussion around being healthy into the harder part of our lineup. Now, going back to Keenan Allen, I think there's arguments to be made both ways, but I do think he probably can make. Now, I want to touch on something very briefly. Remember when Keenan Allen, after we were going for it on 4th and 2 against the Browns, and they missed a field goal, and Keenan Allen says, "What the F are we doing?" He tweeted that out. Brandon Staley had a very open discussion around Keenan Allen, and a lot of the press have covered this quite a lot. Apparently, they had a really good sit-down discussion. They're on the same page. Brandon Staley has clearly stated that things are good, and we've cleared the air quite a lot with each other. And so I think that's great. I think that's awesome. And, you can always turn something like that into a positive. And it's good to see that Brandon Staley is addressing that issue as the leader of our team. So, again, going into this injury, we also know Keenan Allen wants to play. I mean, the guy is a baller. He wants to be out there. So I think part of that was, why are we going for this? And his frustration. He's not part of the conversation. He's not out on the field. There's a lot of things that I think go into it on the sidelines. And, he's a competitor. He's a competitor. So let's go to some of the things Keenan Allen has said here, and then I'll wrap up the video. But, again, before I go to some of these things, I want to get your opinion. Should Allen play? Should Allen not play? What are your thoughts going into the bye? What are your thoughts? What are your predictions? Again, largely this discussion is really getting an idea of what you guys think and engaging with the fan base, of course. So let's go into a little bit more about what Keenan Allen is specifically saying about his injury. He says, "I think I'd feel more comfortable waiting just because I get an extra 2 weeks." Like, I know a hamstring injury is very difficult to come back from. And a couple things to remember, guys. Again, Palmer's out. Parham is going to be out, right? We're not going to have a lot of targets if Allen isn't on the field. And that's a concern. And I understand the conversation around, look, what if he comes out and hurts it again, makes it worse? Hamstring injuries do not go away easily, right? So it's going to be some concern. And this is kind of the other conversation. When I come back, I wouldn't have to think about it at all. And I'm telling you, he has to think about it. But if I can go Sunday, I'm definitely going to go. My prediction, he's not going to go. I really do think that our coaching staff is going to err on the side of caution and say, look, I don't know. I don't think that he's going to – I just don't feel like he's going to play. He's not even running at full speed. Try and play it as it goes. Look, he's not going to play. And again, he keeps saying, I feel like I can go full speed. Look, I want to get your thoughts on all this. Let me wrap it up here and land my plane. Again, I would love to have Keenan Allen out there, but it's clear that the coaching staff wants to make sure that we have him ready to go for a postseason run. Second half of the season is much more difficult. But again, not having players out there is difficult, right? And we're getting ugly wins, guys. We're not getting blowout wins. I mean, I fully expected us to destroy the Broncos. We didn't, okay? Fully expected us to beat the Browns a little bit more convincingly. We didn't, right? We very easily could have lost both of those games. So, again, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on the way that we're managing players injuries? I want to hear your thoughts on that. Why do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you like? A big part of why I want to keep doing this is to think more critically about our team and the way that we are managing our players and personnel. I think that's an important discussion point, moving forward in a season. So, again, guys, as always, we're here to support you. We've got more content coming out, of course. And again, check out our merch down below. And as always, guys, Andrew Bolbros here. See you guys in the next one.